All right, we're back again for another stream, talking about things in Unreal and how they relate now. We're talking about a bit about rigging, a bit about animation, concepts of what we're going to try to do here with rigging to basically get our Fox to try show up on our level with some custom animations. That's the plan. Rushback's already here, complimenting my music that I haven't changed in a long time. Thanks, so appreciate that, and welcome. It's a bit of a nerve-wracking. Oh, and he also says, "Yo, what's up?" A bit of a nerve-wracking session for me today because I don't know very much about what I'm going to do today. I know what I want to do. I know what my approach might be, but I have a strong feeling it's going to be a struggling stream. So it's gonna be exciting. Rushback says, "How you doing?" I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, just kind of, I don't know, sitting here trying to think about how I'm gonna get this done here. But anyway, it should be a fun stream anyways. At the very least, we're gonna be able to spend some time discussing concepts and theories, and knowing what not to do. Rushback says, "Simon, let's be real, you never know what you're doing." Yeah, I think my track record for knowing what I'm doing has been pretty low, so I pretty much approach all my sessions like, let's try this and see what happens. Which is always pretty exciting. If, I hope, at least. For me it is. Like, I guess the word could be used. That's exciting. Alright, we're gonna switch over to the screen here. So what I'm trying to do is use our Fox and see if we can get him set up with some advanced skeleton or some sort of rigging system that is possible for a quadruped. And it's pretty complicated. Definitely, I've bit off a lot here, and I'm really not that familiar with setting stuff up with advanced skeleton. As a disclaimer here, so there's going to be potential for lots of mistakes and lots of craziness. So I'm going to try to keep it real simple. And we're just going to do like basic essentials and see if we can get that working and see if we can get that exported. I'm going to start over again though. Right now I'm just sort of testing out some thoughts because it's changing quickly. Rushback, you had your first Q&A an hour ago. Wow, that's awesome. That's great. Yeah, I forgot. I guess we're in November now, so you got to start your class. That's great. How did it go? How was your first Q&A? Who's your mentor, by the way? Also very interested to know that. It's been, yeah, our new intakes are just getting started. Alright, so what am I doing here? Okay, so I was going to talk about how we have this scene, do a little bit of recap with what we're doing here. It was pretty chill. Sean is your mentor. Nice. I don't really know Sean well enough to say anything, so it's great. Glad it was chill. Hopefully the Slack channel worked for you and your box links are working and the reminders worked. That's all the stuff that I'm feverishly trying to make sure it's running every day. Hopefully it's gonna settle down a little bit as we as I've stopped making adjustments on that front as well. This is my life lately. It's just been non-stop chaos. Everything works so far. Yay! All right, this so far week 1, we're good. Right. Let's see here. What am I trying to do? I want to show you the stuff we did last week. I haven't really looked at it since then, since last week, but we were trying to work with a log cabin to try to create a winter theme more. And it's not in this animal variety pack at all. Need to find the log cabin maps. Demonstration map. Pretty sure it's not going to crash everything like it did last time. Now that I've opened it before. Of course, I'm saying that. I'm still nervous. So what we did last week was we set up a camera and an angle that allowed us to kind of have this log cabin. It's all still here set up in my slack. We have a backdrop and let's switch the cam here. A backdrop and a overlay, a front overlay that goes in front a little bit so that things will be in front of me. Obviously the sizing is not perfect. Also the flame did not pick up, I guess, apparently. Rushback was sleeping. Last week I was sleeping. Yeah, that's all right. You're allowed to sleep. That's right. You kind of like, you have to pass. I think you were started in the session and then you're like, you took off before we got to the end of it. So there you go. I'm helping you to give you some feedback as we were. Even the smoke over here is not actually working either. And not to mention the fact that the perspective of this is bizarre. Like these are the tiniest, biggest things ever. Like that lamp over here. Jeez, I cannot get this right. The lamp over here is way too small. But then again, if it was really huge, it would just feel really claustrophobic. The shot composition just feels really awkward and weird. Definitely need some more time to think about what I'm going to do. And there is supposed to be a fox down here somewhere, which you can't see. So lots of different rethinks. I don't think I'm even going to spend any time trying to figure this out right now, because it needs more time to be just sort of sitting there, understanding what it is I'm doing. Realistically, it's possible all this stuff on the table may not even make sense. It's just a really tough camera angle to work with where I'm so tight on the shot, and to put any objects in front of it is going to be really difficult. It realistically needs like not so much prominent objects, like they just have to be really subtle and maybe even blurred. Although I don't know how the blurring is going to do when you're dealing with opacity. I'd have to, it could be too weird, because if my body's in front of a blur, it's not necessarily. Maybe it'll work. I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Where's our shot here? Oh, sorry. Let me go back to the desktop here. Or I forget. Notoriously always forgetting. Here's our shot. So yeah, something needs to be changed about either bigger, up, higher, closer, less objects that are prominent. Figured out how to do my depth of field so these things are blurry. Somehow figured out how to get the fox to actually do anything in the shot. I should probably just figure out how to make... How do I get the fox to do anything in the shot anyways? It would be probably a great idea if I'm going to the trouble of rigging it. But it is kind of cool to talk about how to rig stuff. Rushback says a slight blur in the would be something for the foreground. Yeah, it would make sense. I think it's worth changing that up. Try that idea. Let me go back to my park backdrop here so that it matches my lighting for whatever reason that matters. But what I want to talk about is how to do the fox, because it kind of changes it up and allows us to think more creatively, and we might come up with another idea, like maybe our shot will be outside in this snowy area, and maybe for whatever reason a fox will jump up on the windowsill and look in or something. I don't know. We can probably think of different ways to arrange this and move from furniture around and stuff, and make it more logical. And it would be nice to get to some animations that fit well with it, rather than just importing pre-existing stuff. But like I said in the beginning of the stream, it's really tough to get this to work with the whole quadruped rig on the fly. And there's also a new element that I haven't talked about yet, where John from CG, one of the students, was talking about using a new importing method called, oh shoot, now I've forgotten to follow up on that and what it's called. Anyway, this new importing method, we're going to be looking at seeing if I can incorporate that just to layer on another level of complexity that I haven't tried before. But basically, if it doesn't work out, I'll just bail out on it. But it would be kind of nice to try it out on this case, where I'm importing a mesh and a rig to see if that has anything to do with it. I feel like it's more designed for like big film-based scenes, which, you know, in Unreal that makes sense. There might be a film-based scene that you need to have a really, well, especially when we get into Unreal 5 and we're talking about higher poly meshes, higher resolution textures, massive scenes that we need to bring into Unreal, that or massive setups really. And you know, if there's a better way to do it than individual FBXs, which, you know, work pretty good, but they do have certain issues and certain problems with textures and such, that I think is worth looking at alternatives, at least at this point, I guess. Jeez, I wish I had found this conversation prior to the stream, because now I can't remember what what it was and where the conversation is and what the file format is called. Is it UDM or U? Darn it, I should have looked this up first. I forget where the conversation happened. Oh wait, I got an idea. What are my threads? If I can scroll down here. There it is, USD. Yay, threads. Saved the issue for me here. So we have a conversation where John's exploring the universal scene description USD files and their use in Maya, but also their use in lots of other things like Unreal 4, which apparently supports it as a third-party plug, or sorry, just a plugin, and it might be interesting to try out. He did suggest it as an idea for our stream, and I just realized now another element of complexity here. If this is a plugin that has to be installed, I may have a lot of learning to do before this actually happens. So maybe I've dove a little too deep on that one. I thought it was just going to be a plugin already installed in Maya. You just turn it on. But this looks like I'm going to have to actually install it. So let's just leave that for a minute, and I'll have some time to think about it. We'll jump straight to what we're trying to do here with the Fox rig stuff and see how far we can get with that. Rushback says, I have a question. I don't know if you can answer it. Do big movie scenes get rendered in Unreal or in a different program? Big movie scenes currently are always getting rendered in different programs. Very rarely, there's very few scenes rendered in Unreal at the moment, but that's changing pretty quickly. But realistically, no. I mean, realistically, very few scenes are rendered in Unreal for films, if not any, for any, you know, big budget films. It's you use various softwares for rendering that are very professional. RenderMan is one that Pixar works with and has as a software that companies can use. There's lots of discussion about rendering softwares and processes, and basically you get into a whole element of render passes so that everything is exported in certain layers that get compiled together. There's a whole skill set for just getting good at understanding how those render passes work together, how to get them to the compositor so that the compositor can put it together. And none of that is stuff that I'm familiar with because we don't do it in games. But it is interesting conversation to have for sure. Hey, Sarah's here. Hey Simon, won't be typing much, multitasking, but I am listening and semi-watching. All right, that's awesome. Thanks for semi-watching. Appreciate that you're nearby. There was an interesting thing going back to the compositing thing, is that we have Mark Pullyblank works with a company, is part of a basically leading a company as far as I know. It works with Unreal, and they have interesting connections right now building stuff with Unreal. Mark's one of the mentors at CG Spectrum, head of the animation department, in fact. And he's looking, from what I heard, he's looking for people that are interested in or are capable of rendering render passes from Unreal to compositing software. So just like what we were talking about before. And this is something I just heard about this week, and very interesting because it's a job that has never really existed before. Very, very unusual, very new concept that may become very familiar and common in the near future. And funny enough, even last week we were doing exactly that, just very candidly, because I was just like, we're just going to render this cabin out and we're going to create this alpha thing where we started doing custom render passes, and we were looking at all these render passes, and that's exactly what I believe what we're talking about for what Mark was requiring. Someone who's a real expert at understanding how to figure out how to, filter out these layers in certain ways that work well with the pipeline that matches what film industry usually works with, and you're bringing it straight from Unreal. So literally what the question was, seems goo, says Chewy Stew. Seems good, I guess. Seems gooey. Oh, and then Big Blob of Goo replied immediately after, which is even, it's just fantastic. And of course he picked up on that, so very good. The mystery of who Big Glob of Goo is has been resolved, and was giving me some chat on Slack there after our last stream, so that was pretty neat. Another internal student that is around. So it's great to see that we got some regular students around. Wow, so where was I going with this? I had a whole bunch of stuff I was talking about. And now I gotta remember what I was trying to do here. So what I've done so far is grab the Fox, and basically you can take any mesh and any object in Unreal and bring it back out of Unreal. Just going to Asset Actions, Export, and if you grab the skeletal mesh, which is what I just did, it'll grab the skeleton and the mesh from basically what you would have exported to create a skeletal mesh. You'll be reversing. And there are some interesting tricks when you do this, because it converts, like, because Maya's up axis is in one direction and Unreal's up axis is in a different direction, it does screw around with things. So you can't just necessarily cleanly undo or reverse or pull back from something that you've imported. You're always going to have like a bit of a conversion mix-up with the orientations, and so we're going to experience a little bit of that here as we do this. Currently I've been putting it in the backup file just to not mix up with what we're trying to do in our live session here, but we're going to make a new folder here called Fox, and see what we can do here. So when you export it, it says what kind of file you want to export it as. Anything past FBX 2012 is pretty stable. Those earlier versions were pretty rough. They were really working away at making some substantial changes. So anything after that is pretty much a safe bet. And the further higher one is, the more compatible it is to different versions. So there's kind of an argument to keep it as an earlier version if you need to. It's adding a collision object. We don't need that. Level of detail, we don't even need that. Vertex color, because these get generated automatically. Vertex color, I don't know why we'd need that either. That's just metadata information on the vertices for other reasons that you might need it for. Morph targets, I don't know, maybe this has morph targets. We'll just go with that. What else are we talking about here? So we've got that exported. Oh, I know, we're gonna go to Maya, which I gotta open up, I guess, because I closed it. So when I was opening up, and when I was like last week, I was like, oh, we're just gonna take the mesh from the Fox and convert it to advanced skeleton, and like obviously I spent like 1 millisecond thinking about it, because it doesn't really work that way. The skeleton that we're bringing out from Unreal is has a different bone naming convention than advanced skeletons, so you can't just sort of like swap it in. It's going to break the entire automation of how it builds a skeleton, because it won't know what bone is what and where things go. So we're going to discover a bit of that as we do this here. Let's see here. Gotta get to... Oh, Symmetro is probably folder that'll take me right there. Fox. I think we're just going to import that. So there's our Fox. Minus the textures, because that's how it usually goes when you export FBX. And that's the whole argument of why we're looking at that USD file, because maybe when you do USD export importing, all this stuff comes together really clean. It's supposed to be something really nice about that workflow where you can have like it can just update different packs of this giant file, I guess. This is what I'm assuming. And so maybe potentially you could have multiple people working and importing and updating this file, and the file just sort of represents all this data in one combined container. That would be cool if that's the case. But I really don't know. I haven't used it yet. So anyway, here's our Fox. He's got a nice skeleton and it's all skinned here, so I should be able to rotate these joints and it moves the mesh. Now you can't really, as a, this doesn't really help you as an animator, because like you're realistically gonna have to like FK the entire skeleton to actually get it to animate anywhere, which is just unrealistic, especially as soon as you get to anything that requires contact with the ground and stuff. Like you just can't FK to keep the feet on the ground. It would be impossible. So it doesn't really give you a lot of value from an animator standpoint right off the get-go. Wow, that's interesting. I can't actually zero that rotation out. And like I said before, the skeleton hierarchy, the naming convention for these joints are very specific. They're also like crazy. So it's not going to match with anything. Now there is a theory that you could use HIK to create a custom rig mapping, which no, that doesn't really work either because we haven't actually got a rig yet. But the other problem is HIK really doesn't work for any quadrupeds, particularly the one that is integrated in Maya. And so it's really just a biped, two legs down kind of character setup for this kind of thing. So our Fox isn't really suited for quadruped or HIK. But when you use Advanced Skeleton, which is free and was my first suggestion, which was sort of the direction we're going to head down here, you can grab it from just doing Advanced Skeleton, doing a search, and you can just download these, download the latest version. And this rigging format has a option to export as a game rig, or at least maintain a game rig hierarchy, so that you can always bring it straight into Unreal if you have to, and yet you still get a nice animation rig to work with. It isn't that easy, unfortunately. Like, it still requires knowledge and experience and practice, and I do not have any of that for using Advanced Skeleton. But basically you get these 4 icons when you install the plugin. The plugin's really easy to install. You just basically copy it to a folder on your hard drive and then drag in one of the install files. In fact, I can probably just show you what basically the process is here. So in Maya, under I put it in under scripts, I believe. Advanced Skeleton. Basically, when you unzip the file, you just put all these files in here. I put them in scripts under Maya because these little icon buttons are always calling to this location on my hard drive. So if I move this hard drive, if I move this folder or something, these little icons won't do anything anymore. So it's important to put it somewhere where it's going to stay the same location. But it doesn't have to go in the scripts folder per se. And then you just drag the install into your workspace and these icons get created. So I'm not going to do it right now because they've already been created. But that's how it works. It's pretty straightforward. You click on the 5 button, that's your rigging setup tool, and these ones are just like your interfaces for animating with. I may have briefly mentioned that last week. And so they have lots of little help tooltips that we're going to try to go through here, show how it works. JD Smith, digital artist, has written, I want to get my hands on it. The Advanced Skeleton looks awesome. Yeah, it is pretty awesome. I definitely recommend it. I mean, there's plenty of auto rigging tools out there and lots of good ones. But this one's like for students, it's free. And there's plenty of rigs been created out there that use Advanced Skeleton if you ever want to play with it on existing rigs. There's one. I'm going to try to show you guys here. that I always tell people to go to, because this guy, I think he's in Vietnam, and he has tons of rigs. So if you've ever heard of it before, you probably know what I'm talking about. I just got an email from Cascadier with a survey about what I would like to see in the purchasable version of the software. And so there's a lot of interesting questions, but they're definitely, one of the questions was, how much would you pay for the software? I'm like, interesting. So I don't really know if it does seem like they're still gonna have a free version, but there's gonna be limitations and stuff, and it'll be interesting to see how it ends up. But my perspective on it is it's more like a mocapping thing. I think we talked about it once before. Pretty cool, very new. Obviously it's still in beta, so they're just coming out, but I'm kind of, geez, I wonder if this is something we could take a look. I don't know if they have biped rigs. Fascinating. Anyways, too many thoughts at once here. So one of the rigs that I'm talking about here is this one, Turong. He is got all these rigs. So all these rigs are made, usually, I think pretty much 90% of them are made with Advanced Skeleton. And so literally when you download it and you install it, load it up in your Maya, you can just open up the rigging tool sets, just like I have here. Sorry, to get back to Maya here. You can just take a look at these, open up this like tool and just start clicking buttons, and it will start selecting these rigs, just like as they should, for most of them. I think if you click on them, it'll say in here, rigged with Advanced Skeleton. So you can kind of tell right away what it's done with. But as you can see, we can do bipeds and all kinds of funky rigs with this. So it's got a lot of flexibility, which I think is one of the things that makes it pretty rare. So now, where am I going with this? We got the thing, we got this thing. Sarah says, so I could use that for my wallaby kangaroo. Yes, you could. It's the never-ending wallaby and kangaroo rig. Search for rigs. So in here they have a bunch of different presets, and that's, I guess, where we're heading. So we're going to be using the cat rig, which is kind of funny because there's actually a cat rigging tool in 3D Max, not to be confused with, of course. Dinosaurs, dragons, fish, gorilla, bug, bird. So I guess, I mean, I don't know. If you're doing a kangaroo... See, kangaroos are so different, right? That's why it's so hard. You could probably start with a quadruped type of rig and then change it up. But they're so different. Like, I don't know. Possibly it has to be a biped, but I don't know. You do have to kind of be conforming to whatever this is preset to, and hope for the best. I'm not quite ready to do that yet, though. So let's hold off in a sec here. So what we imported was a skeleton and a mesh. We're gonna go to the Sarah says, it's on my to-do list in the holidays. I need an animatable marsupial. Maybe and then Chidna? Why did you write that? Putting me on the spot to read it. Darn it. It's probably like, I know what it is. I just can't remember how to pronounce it. Great. Look like an idiot now. Echidna. Oh, okay. There you go. That's actually not what I thought it was going to be. So there you go. I am on the wrong path there. Thanks for pronouncing that better. It's very good. Where am I going with this? So here's our mesh. Oh, actually, you know what is interesting? Oh yeah, no, okay, here it is. So here's our minus 90 offset for the rotation X. This is that whole problem where Maya has a Y up and Unreal has a Z up, and everything has to be converted to a rotation orientation in order for it to work. And often you'll see when you import stuff into Unreal, they'll be flipped up sideways, and then you bring it back here and there. So this has been offset to work with Maya. If I put 0 on this, our character doesn't, well, it's double transforming right now, so we're getting the skeleton's rotating 90 degrees, and because the skeleton rotated 90 degrees, it's telling the mesh rotated 90 degrees, and then the skeleton rotated 90 degrees and told the mesh to rotate 90 degrees. So double transformation on the mesh. Sarah says, sorry, I forget most of the animals are unknown to the rest of the world. Yeah, sure you did. You just like talking about your animals that are very unique to your part of the world. So when I rotate that, I have to, so what I want to do is freeze this. That's where I'm going with this. And before I rig it, I need to make sure that skeletal mesh doesn't have a parenting system that is a little bit offset. So even if I shift P and unparent it, it screws up the rotation here. Which actually I don't know what I'm going to do about it. Oh, I have to unskin it first. Fun fact, a kangaroo is both quadruped and biped. See, that's what I'm talking about. That's why you can't find a rig for kangaroos very easily, because it's so unique and complicated. It's mostly the feet, right? Like you got these big animal feet, and then they're standing upright, and they've got like regular looking arms. So yeah, that is really tricky. That's a weird one. So where am I going with this? Oh, I was gonna unskin it, so we're gonna I guess we could just delete the history on the mesh, and that's gonna cause the mesh no longer to be modified. So if I hit Shift P now, the mesh is now outside of the hierarchy, and it's got the 90-degree offset. I'm gonna freeze that so that it's zeroed out. And the skeleton, I don't know, I guess I'm just gonna delete the skeleton. Seems like a bit of a shame. It's a nice skeleton, but hard to do anything with it without manually rigging it in Maya, which, I mean, I could do, but quadruped rigs are very specific and need a lot of custom setup, so I don't really feel like I don't feel like we can gain a lot by trying to do that, especially on the fly. I don't really know if I'm gonna have a lot to give. Oh, Fatima, maybe you can find something for a cartoon rabbit. Oh, for the kangaroo solution, like Judy Hopps from Zootopia. Yeah, that's an awesome rig. I saw somebody do a test rig with that, and so I think there's a rig version of that floating around. They jump, but can also do walking and such. Yep, that's true. I'd have to look at Zootopia again to see what that character's rig looks like, because I almost feel like it was just a biped, but with big feet or something, but maybe I'm wrong. Ema also says, might have to get rescaled or something to work on a bigger kangaroo body. Yeah, it would have to be stretched out, and then the arms would have to shrink. And the head and the tail, really long tail, which is a really important tail too, because it holds the body up and everything. Very unique type of rig. Sarah says, my urge is to watch a stream about animal rigging is even more proof that I am a technical artist. Oh yeah. Sarah had a revelation this week that she should take technical art as a career path, as per advice from Justin, our mentor. And I'm all for it. Being a technical artist, I'm like, yeah, there's just not enough of us around. If you ever wanted to be a technical artist, there are plenty of jobs out there for you. Obviously, it's not an easy job. That's why there's not a lot of us, but it's such a high demand job at the moment, because, I mean, there isn't even a lot of positions to fill, but because it is so demanding, and because there's so few of us that, you know, usually you can find a position pretty quickly. Flippy Pixel says, how do quadrupeds work in Unreal? There's not much anything different. It's just a rig skeleton. If I can get it sorted out in Maya, then it's going to work in Unreal just the same. It's basically just rotating joints that are baked out with keys. So they just follow along. They're skinned to a mesh. It's how you do like giant complex monsters and all this other stuff. They're just a bunch of joints rotating around. Now, if you're talking about the Unreal rigging toolset that's coming out and is partially out, then yeah, I don't think that supports quadruped at the moment. Although they do have an example where they're using like a scorpion, which is, you know, quite complicated as an example. But I wouldn't even talk about that as a pipeline yet. That's very experimental. But no, not far down the future, we may be very much working with rigging inside of Unreal and setting up our character rigs that way. As soon as it becomes viable, I'm definitely going to jump on it because I think that's awesome. Like if I really wanted to rig this Fox and I had the option to do it in Unreal, I think that would be by far the smartest thing to do. And that way I could animate it Unreal and really focus on how it fits in the scene. But realistically, I'd have to sacrifice the animation workflow that I find in Maya and do do it in sequencer, which is really the big, I think that's the elephant in the room when you're talking about trying to animate in Unreal. Sarah says, I think I've been ignoring it because I found rigging so frustrating. We're talking about technical art again, being a technical artist. But I need to get over the curve and I'll be fine. Right. Yeah, it is. It's intimidating because it's always solving problems, like what I'm doing right now. And even just before the stream, I'm very intimidated. Right now I'm intimidated by the fact that I have to use Advanced Skeleton to rig this character. And it's like, yeah, that's pretty hard to do. Like, this may turn out terribly, but we're gonna get started. That's all I have to worry about. And then we'll see where we go. FlipPixel says, what skill sets would you say a technical artist needs? It depends on what kind of technical artist you're talking about, and I think that's a really interesting point about how we're trying to figure out what we're going to do with CG Spectrum in terms of trying to create a stream that supports technical art. It's currently the thought process is, more people are going to be interested in being a technical artist from the perspective of environment art and building scenes more so than a technical artist in the animation department or a technical artist in VFX department or something. Although I must admit VFX is almost a technical artist at the same time. Like you pretty much are a technical artist if you're in VFX. And so I think that based on the number of people that might enroll, we're probably going to go down that road. In terms of environment art, world building, environment art, procedurally building environment stuff, a lot of blueprints, that kind of thing for Unreal. But if you're talking about technical artist in Maya, we're just talking about rigging mostly. So, and that can be a thing on its own. Just being a rigging artist is a technical artist. Kim says, good luck. This is Kim, by the way. My sleep is non-existent. Wow, Kim. That's amazing. What is it like? It's definitely after midnight for you, I bet. It's almost 8. Yeah, good job staying up. Staying up for my stream. I'm glad you're here. This is great. Really appreciate it. 2 a.m. Yeah, that was probably correct for sure. FlipPixel asks, do tech artists do a lot of tool programming? All right, so tool programming from the perspective, and there's different types of tool programming. Sleep is for the weak. Yeah, sorry for making my stream a terrible hour for people in Europe. That's for sure. Everybody's all like, why? Why? I appreciate that you guys are all here. It's really awesome. All right, let's go back to the question. So there's tool programming. So there's tool programming in Unreal that is like making tools for artists in the engine. And that's always been traditionally C++ programming, very hardcore under the hood of the engine programming for you know, manipulating what the tool sets are. And that is a different thing altogether. That's a programming job for sure. Then we have tool programming in terms of creating scripts to help animators in Maya using plugins and using like different, you know, tool scripts that, whatever, they're just things. So that is something that artists would do, technical artists, people that have a background that start from art is, you know, scripting is so much easier than C++ programming, from my experience, my understanding. And it's actually really nice to get an artist to make tools, because then you have the experience and knowledge of what the artist will probably want, as well as what the restrictions and demands are for what the software can do. So it's kind of a hybrid of both worlds, and I find that that's what really works nicely. Kim says you're the one coming from Switzerland too, right? Oh yeah. You guys are all from more than one from Switzerland. Flippy Pixel says I've seen Unreal has Python now. Haven't looked into it yet though. Right, so Unreal has a support for Python to automate tasks. I haven't, to be honest, I haven't really used it very yet either. So, but it's really nice to know that it's there. There is, I can easily see scenarios where you need to set up blueprints specific to how things are imported into Unreal. For example, you set up a complex rig that has a lot of custom attributes, a lot of custom things, and you want to be able to match that in Unreal so that it reads that data and does things with it. But you don't want to have to hand connect every single node for every single character, or go in there and custom tweak or change things. You just want to have like a script that will go through and automatically assemble it all, and then if you make some adjustments, you just tweak the script and it'll reassemble it with the fixes. That is so much more beneficial. So I can definitely see where it's useful. I just never really worked on a project that required Python scripting to solve Unreal issues yet, but I do like writing in Python. It's actually a really nice software to learn, programming language. Lucia has said, it's almost 1 a.m. here in Ireland. It's late here too. I feel so bad. Everybody's from Europe. Oh man. Is anybody not from Europe? Is it not 2 a.m. for anyone else besides me? So what else are we talking about here? Let's go back to the Fox. Let's see if we can actually get started. So, oh, there we go. Big glob of goo is not. So, it's 7 p.m. There we go. That's my time zone. Well, depending on if it's 7:47 or not. I need to change my times. Yeah, it does seem like the majority might want me to change my times. See, and then Sarah couldn't make it if I changed my times. That's the problem. Sarah's in Australia, so she, it's only just coming out of the morning now. It's always somebody gets left out. Okay, so when you're using Advanced Skeleton, these little question marks in the corner are awesome. They tell you all kinds of stuff. This is actually a really nice way to learn how to rig anyways. It teaches you the basic things that you have to set up to prepare for your modeling, and good workflows as well. Yeah, Sarah is in the future. Australia lives in the future. They know things before we know it's going to happen. Oh yeah, Mark's stream. Yeah, that's right. Mark's stream. Mark Polyblank now has a stream on Fridays at noon, I think. Noon Eastern. Sorry, here I am talking about time zones. And he's done 2 streams already, so that tomorrow will be his 3rd stream. And we have another animation mentor lined up to do another stream at the end of the month, or no, even this week, I think, on Saturday. Also Eastern. I can't remember the time though. 6 p.m. or something. Spectra is, by the way, is the one that's doing the stream. Just so I can put a name in there. His future is amazing, by the way. Kim says that's new. Yeah, so those are new streams. So if you wanted to see some 3D animation streams, Kim, this I guess is very relevant for you since you're taking the animation stream alone. But Kim's got me as a mentor. Sarah says my husband is in the past. Is in the past. Yeah. See, yeah, he's in the same. No, he's in Central. I don't know. He's almost in the same time zone as I am. Saturday morning to get marks. Yeah, that would be 3 a.m. Saturday for you, I guess, to see marks. Unless you want to see Spectras. Spectras would be, Sunday morning for you. This will be our first stream, so I don't know. She may have some technical problems like I did when I first started doing streams. You ever watch my first streams? It's like, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I'm pushing buttons and trying to get things to work. Tim says, thanks for streaming so many times. It's education for free. It is education for free, actually. It totally is. I only get like about 50 views on my YouTube videos though, so I'm not too worried. Not many people watch my streams. Compared to some of the other ones. I think the concept arts ones are really popular. There was one that got like 800 views or something. And it was like, not one of mine, but one of the other mentors. I'm all jealous. Ah, thanks, Kim. Great mentor. Sarah says, yeah, same to you. Same as you. Yeah, same time zone as me. 10 p.m. for Joe. 10 p.m. It's only 8 over here. I stayed up late last night because I couldn't sleep. I do it on purpose tonight. Ah, yes. Oh, to see Mark's stream. That would be... Yeah, that's right. Fatima, quality over quantity. Oh, I've lost what that conversation was coming from. What was I talking about? Quality over quantity. Quality over quantity, yeah. That's a good attitude. I'll agree with the statement anyways. Big glob of goo. Those that miss out don't... Oh, for the streams. Those that miss out don't know what they're missing. That's right. Exactly. You guys are in that on a secret, I guess. If it's a secret. I don't know. If my stuff is actually useful. At least it's fun. So you can't go wrong with that. Sarah says, oh yeah, it's 8 p.m. for him. Yeah, that's right. Tima says, number of viewers. Oh yeah, so quality over quantity. There you go. That's a backwards way to look at it. I like that though. I'll use that one. It's good. It's my bragging rights. Sarah says, so many time zones. Yeah. Oh man, tell me about it. Especially when we did the time zone change that happened with the... It was nuts. Just crazy. I know it happens twice a year, so I should be used to it, but with all my scripts and everything, it was just wild. Doing some crazy math calculations in my head to make sure my scripts weren't broken. Yeah, Kim knows what I'm talking about. I've vented my frustrations once or twice with her. Not with her directly, but that's what I work on. Flippy Pixel. So is this a recommended rigging pipeline to Unreal? And have you tried Art 2? Is it feasible? Ah, very interesting question. So I would recommend Advanced Skeleton as a feasible pipeline to Unreal, yeah. It is pretty stable. It works pretty good. I've definitely worked with like any of those rigs from that website that I was showing you. Well, I shouldn't say any of them. There are definitely ones that don't work, but because they're using Advanced Skeleton, we're pretty close to getting them to work. Like I know for sure this one, definitely pretty much out of the gate, you can get working. Ones that have complicated facial rigs don't always work though, so you may have less luck with some of the more complex ones. And that's just because, and particularly because Advanced Skeleton didn't support game skeletons until just a few years ago. But now they definitely have a game engine section that even has Unreal joints that will build a skeleton that's specifically for exporting to a game engine. And so it's definitely feasible for this pipeline, which is something that you're not going to find a lot of rigs are compatible with game engines because they have to follow specific rules of how they do the hierarchy. So the fact that this one is one that can work with it is really cool. Definitely is great. HIK rigging is also super compatible with games, so this is another way to do one. I just wouldn't really recommend hand keying this particular type of rig in Maya. It's just too painful to learn as somebody who's learning how to animate. It's really designed for Motion Builder, which is another software. But if you have motion capture you want to clean up and retarget, this is a good tool to work with. And there's no other mode that you can do that won't be game compatible. So every rig is always game compatible. And I feel like there was, oh, and the other question was Art version 2. Art is the tool set created by Unreal to support rigging in Maya to export to Unreal, and it comes free from the well, you can get it from their marketplace basically. Actually, the V2, I don't know if it's available yet, and if it is, then I'm really curious because I didn't know that. Let me check it out. V1 I am very familiar with. In fact, I think I even was in a class with Sarah way back in the day. We learned how to use Art V1 as our rigging tool set. And it was a frustrating experience, probably, she would tell me. If oh, it's still in beta. Okay, yeah. Art V2 has been in beta for years. Yeah, so all we have is Art V1 currently in the marketplace. And Art V1 is actually it's a really nice rigging concept. It's actually really cool, very smart, has some great usability features. I would almost argue it's easier to use than Advanced Skeleton in terms of you know, from an artist point of view, but it's got some serious conflicts with any version of Maya past 2016, I think. Well, maybe past 2017. So it's been, I wouldn't recommend it right now for anybody. Flip Pixel, that's what you taught me. Oh, okay, sorry. Flippy Pixel. Sorry, I'm forgetting who you are. Who are you? Shoot. Sorry about that. I don't know when I taught you that. That must have been years ago, so I feel like I should know who you are. Chris Graham. Oh, Chris. Oh, yeah, sorry. There you go. Awesome. This whole time I didn't realize that was you. Awesome. Yeah, totally. We taught you that. Man, I come back now. I'm like, oh yeah, that's awesome. So that explains why you're talking. So here I am telling you all these answers. You already know half this stuff because I probably talked to you about it already. I guess everybody else doesn't know the answer. So anyway, Art V2 hasn't been out yet, as far as I know. And the real problem was that the guy that wrote the scripts for Art V1 is not working at Epic anymore. He left partway through rewriting Art V2. And I think that's why Art V2 is kind of stuck in this world of beta version forever. And I think what they use internally and at Epic now is not anything like any of those versions. I could be wrong with that, but I feel like they've probably built their own thing internally that's different. But originally, Fortnite characters were being rigged with Art V1, and that was their pipeline. So it was definitely a tool that was being feasibly used. And I think V2 has some great promise of being useful as well, but you know, I bet you they're kind of not really sure what to do with it because they're trying to do rigging tools now inside of Unreal. I feel like they're kind of like, why would we finish this when we can put our time and effort into trying to make sure the one in Unreal works. Sarah remembers the art tools. Yay. Means I must have taught something that had some sort of stuck a little bit, I guess. Rushback says, wow, Simon, that's toxic, forgetting people. Thanks, Rushback. Trust me, this is not that unusual for me. That's toxic. Great. Way to rub that in. Yeah. Catching up on the streams. That's great. That's like so cool that you're here, Chris. Different username. Sarah says we transmitted me because I had a MacBook. Oh, traumatized me. Yeah, because you had a MacBook. So yeah, that's the other thing. Art V1 does work on a Mac, but it is a pain in the butt. So I wouldn't worry about it. It's kind of a legacy thing, unless you're willing to go back to Maya 2016 and work in that, which is possible that the guys at Epic still used Maya 2016. I mean, this isn't that surprising or unheard of. I know they were using it a couple years ago, so they may still be doing that. And it's not that unusual for studios to be working on versions much older. Basically what happened in 2017 or 2018, they redid the whole interface so that you can like grab anything and drag it out. And that is fundamentally changed how the menu stuff works. So when you open up Art V1, it's all written in the legacy format and it doesn't fit anywhere. It doesn't sit in the screen very well, and then there's all these other things that come up as bugs and stuff. But traumatized is definitely the right word. I definitely it's a great tool, but it was so hard to get working, and then when it was working, it was interfering with other people's stuff when they're doing modeling and stuff. So it really did kind of like take over your Maya. So I wouldn't recommend it, but it was it had some great ideas and some great concepts that you know, something that Maya should eventually do one day, or not, or just, you know, whatever. We'll just do a rigging in Unreal, and Maya will just get left behind. I don't know. I'm throwing that out there because I'm a little bitter with Maya, but not because I don't like animating it. I actually do kind of like animating it. Jeremy added me to the Slack as well. Oh, good. Yeah, CG Spectrum really looks after its ex-grads. Yeah, no, I'm glad you got added because, yeah, all our alumni are welcome to be in Slack. And we didn't start it until 2017, I think. So if anybody before that wants to join into our Slack and has already gone through the course since 2015, they are welcome. We just let us know and we'll get you in there. And I think that's what makes Slack so interesting, or at least our little workspace, because it keeps everybody around, and it's really the contacts and the connections that are valuable, just as valuable as the content. I know personally, my career path, it's the people that I knew from a long time ago and the people that I worked with from a long time ago that have really been valuable people in my contacts lists in my career, even up to today. So funny, like even the mentors that got hired recently, like pretty much most of the game programmers. If you take the Unreal programming course from CG Spectrum, they're all people that I used to work with at Silicon Knights, and now are working at Ubisoft. So there's it's all about connections, really, to it, because the industry is only so big. So you kind of know the good ones, and you reach out to them when you need some work. So it's nice to have that Slack community so that you can, if you got to go find somebody, you know where to go find them. Yeah. All right. Let's see if we can get started here. I'm procrastinating because I'm having this lovely conversation and avoiding the actual work that's required here. So the first button that says is clean model, which is kind of cool. It asks you to oh no, this isn't even the right button that I was thinking. Let me just try it here. Clean model, probably delete the history, freeze all the transforms. That's really useful. Sarah says it's 4 years since I was making my Unreal 4 environment with the elephant and the weird plants. The elephant, I remember that. I got my Facebook memory today. That's awesome. From your post. Yeah, no, you're still kicking it with the with Unreal, which is good to see. Definitely in 4 years, Unreal has changed a lot as well. So you go through the list here and you can read the instructions about what to do. It's the model checker. That's actually, I think, what I want to do here. So we click on this. It looks for, it looks to make sure that your values are all not offset, which I've already fixed. I got rid of the negative 90 degrees. And it also checks to see if your geometry is symmetrical, which is very cool. And you can see here that there is some issues with symmetry potentially. Is this geometry all doubled up? Is that how they're doing the fur, maybe? Sometimes what they do is they put 2 layers of fur. One is your, you know, underneath the skin, and then the outer ones are your, my hands are misaligned on the keyboard here. The other ones are for like, it creates this sort of dotted effect as it comes out, which creates this illusion of fur. I didn't realize they did it with geometry externally though. I thought it was always done with like a shader and a material. Wow. All right, so I may be learning something right now. I didn't realize that's how that worked. Yeah, there's geometry inside there. Well, I don't know if I'm maybe going to mess up all that stuff when I'm doing this. But it would be part of the skinning process, so. Oh yes, tomorrow's Friday the 13th. Oh, so yeah, you're in Friday the 13th. Yeah, that's true. That's funny. Wonder how Friday the 13th is going. Got a few more hours. Actually, anybody from Europe is on Friday the 13th already, so there you go. We already crossed the line. So we've got our model checked. I'm not going to worry about the asymmetry. Create a rig file. Oh yes, so this is where they're talking about how to do like a reference. So it's really important when you're doing rigs to reference in various parts of your rig file. So I'm not sure how new scene is going to work here. Save your changes. Probably should save this just in case it's about to wipe out my file, which is not what I wanted to do. Alright, new scene. Probably was going to wipe it out. And then we reference in that mesh file now, which I think is what this is trying to do here. It was an MA file. So it's good at practice to do this. Oh look, they even put it in a special layer. Fancy. So that's ready to go. Insert X-Files music here. Oh yeah. X-Files spooky music. Because it's Friday the 13th. For people in the future. I'll be back in 15, 20 years. And you're still streaming. Wow. That would be crazy. If I was still streaming in 15 to 20 years, it really, like, I don't know. There's a whole bunch of discussions about where technology will be and what we'll be doing in 15, 20 years. Hey, Marcus is here. Wow, welcome. So the intro to game programming course is Unreal oriented now, Simon. The intro to game programming courses. Oh, it's Unreal. Yeah, that's a serious question. Yes, yes, it is. Game programming course is centered around programming in Unreal, and And so we're trying to keep it consistent with Unreal. So we have game design is centered around Unreal, game programming, and also our game production courses. And if we do this technical artist stream, it will be through Unreal as well. So that hopefully, the idea is we want to have collaborations. So we want to have people from different departments working together, making projects together. It's one of the things we're talking about doing is heading up game jams within the school. And I'm the one that's been elected to try and get this coordinated, which is going to get pushed back a bit because I've got a lot of things on my plate right now. But yeah, we want to be able to get that going. And there's lots of posts going on Slack. Sorry, I'm missing all these conversations. Lots of posts going on Slack under the general collaboration. Keep your eye on this because there's lots of people asking for different people to help out on projects. This has been pretty active recently. So we really encourage this. We want to help out as a school. I think I've talked about this before, but we really want to encourage everybody's getting involved in projects together, even though they're really hard to do. We have lots of talented people from different departments, so why not? Sarah says minutes. I'm not sure what I'm missing there. Wow. IH Pug. I don't even know how to say your name. Wow, that's not even a real word. Okay, so we're talking about spam. I don't know if I should give spam their moment of fame here. Marcus says, we will be watching Simon out of a microchip implanted in my neck in 15 years. See, that's seriously, that's the unpredictable future that we just don't know how to lay down yet. Sari says, oh, yeah, well, it's, you never know. 15 years, things are moving pretty quick nowadays. You don't know what's going to happen in 15 years. Big glob of goo. A game jam would be great. There you go. Got some support. I think you're right. I think it'll be fun and interesting and also very challenging. But I think it's something we need to get started and really explore because it could end up with some pretty cool results. And the Rookies has a whole category for game stuff. What do I call it? Game production stuff. So you can do like game demo reels, anything created in real-time engines as a category. So as a team of people doing a game jam, we can submit to this competition. Marcus says, I need to socialize more. Marcus, you are so social. I don't think you need to socialize more. You're plenty social. One-on-one is great, but I'm missing out on working with other people, so it sounds good. Yeah, well, that's true. See, a social person really would enjoy that collaboration environment. And if you're a one-on-one, yeah, you're just you and the mentor. So there you go. It's also an opportunity for us to get to know each other a little better, which is awesome. Dima, oh, we are looking for a modeler rigger. Ah, well, there you go. Are you in that post that I just showed and I didn't notice? I don't see you there. So anyways, maybe your name is being translated. But that's great. Yeah, there you go. So modeler rigger. That's rigging is hard to find people. We've only really got very, very few people taking rigging course in our CG spectrum, and it's very hard to find anyone who's interested in rigging, which is funny because I'm here struggling trying to do rigging. So it's maybe not that surprising. But I totally encourage it. Like seriously, if you want to be a rigger, there is a career there. It's a great career to find employment and just to find what everybody wants a rigger. So hopefully Fatima finds somebody who can help out with that. I'm part of the group. Oh, you're part of the group that is on the collaboration channel. Okay, perfect. Marcus says, I'm just finishing the foundations course and about to do the modeling bridging. Oh yes, the bridging modeling course, the one term that you get for free before you get into the advanced modeling course, which is something that we've introduced as of November. So anybody taking courses in the intro currently and are still enrolled has the opportunity to do a free bridge course before taking the advanced course. So I would definitely take advantage of that if you can. Dima, Marcus, do you mind writing us on Slack so we can get connected and invite you to our Discord. Yes, there you go. That's things happening there. I'm an animation student. Ah, yes. I have seen you posts on Slack, so I recognize, but I just didn't see you on that collaboration, but I understand now what's going on. Marcus says, I can do that, but I have no idea whose this is. Oh, there we go. Just type Fatima in Slack and you'll find her. Assuming that I've got that correct. I'm just assuming that I have that right. I may be wrong. I'll have to see if you can fix that for me or not. Rigging ain't something for me. I'm more of a fur and hair effects person, says Rushback. Fur and hair effects person? Man, how can you say rigging is not for you and then come up with the hardest career path possible and say that's more interesting? Although, to be fair, I guess hair is very aesthetic and, you know, you have to be conscious of a very, I don't know, I can't think of a word, aesthetics for it, which is maybe a different thing than rigging. Yeah, there you go. That's who I'm talking about. Now I'm getting laughed at because I can't seem to get my thoughts straight here. As usual. Alright. Let's see if we can make one more step here of progress. We've got the reference. I feel like I need to save this as a rig file. I better do that. Save as Fox Mesh. Then we're gonna do Fox Rig. Marcus. Chris is supporting me. Yay! Chris is always good at supporting me. Marcus says, Simon, do you have a green screen behind you? Yes, I do have a green screen behind me. It's very true. Let me show you. There it is. It's lit in a way that makes sure that one side is, well, I'm trying to make it as balanced as possible. So I have special lights in the back to light up my green screen, and then I have lights in the foreground to light up my foreground, so that I'm lit from two different methods. And that gives me a nice clean green screen that's happening through. You can see the rest of my office is not nearly, nearly as spectacular. Oh, you can't see it anyway because I don't have my screen share on. Let me just jump back here. I have my green screen with my office that looks like a disaster back there, but it's just basically an oval that goes around me and is lit very carefully. It's actually a bit of a mess looking office outside of my magical camera view here. It's pretty funny. Let's see here. Chroma key park. So I just turn it back on. So chroma key is happening through OBS, and works pretty good. Although I do find that my camera resolution is too low because it's such a wide angle. Actually, the resolution of my face doesn't quite match with the background. But that is a live background back there running off of another computer. So I'm getting live light feedback, hence why I keep flickering every once in a while, because a leaf gets in the way of my screen and then the lights try to match to it. Can you send me a link for that on Slack? For OBS? Ah, it's free software that you can use to do streaming. And there's, I don't know, there's a whole bunch of, as you can see, I've got a whole bunch of stuff going on here. Various channels here, so I can turn on my my cottage cabin backdrop that we were working on, and all sorts of other things that we can put on our Halloween mode here. Go back to our, oh no, I can't. Oh, never mind. I don't know what's going on there. Anyways, I'm getting too confused having screens on screens here. Oh, there's my Halloween mode. All right, sorry, I wasn't actually looking at a live backdrop after all, because I had my other one on. Here's my Halloween mode here. Jeez, that's not my live backdrop. That's hilarious. There's my live backdrop. Marcus has OBS. Can you send me a link to the green screen? Oh, okay. All right, so I bought my green screen on AliExpress because I couldn't find any green screens available at the time that I wanted to buy it because it was in the middle of the pandemic and everybody wanted to buy green screens. So the only way I could buy it was directly from China. And it took me like 2 months for it to arrive. But I think if you just look for any type of green screen that is, like, there's lots of like large green screens, but this one's just sort of one that's designed to, well, it literally sits on top of there's like a rack that hangs on above it that clings onto it. It's pretty good. So I can move it out of the way if I want to, or reposition it. Marcus says, however, if you have it set up much nicer than I know how to do. Yeah. Yeah. Trust me, this is months and months of me playing with my OBS, trying to find out how to get things to work, and also getting help from Jeremy. Jeremy also was the one that kind of headed up all these Twitch stream, or I shouldn't say Twitch streams. Well, they originally were Twitch streams. Now they're just streams in general. And so it's been a long learning curve for all of us, and the microphones and everything that's set up as well is all very. It's been a slow process of slowly growing and building on the setup. And the Stream Deck, which is another thing that I use to do my switches of my scenes. All right, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring in the actual rig. So we're gonna bring in the cat rig and import it. Oh, I think I actually clicked it twice. Fit skeleton already exists. All right, let's not do 2 times. We just need the 1. And you know what's really interesting is that if you read this, it says to make everything 1/10 of the scale of real world, which is like, I didn't know rigs should be 1/10 of the scale. I've never had anyone say that before. And I definitely don't think it's a good idea if you're trying to export it for Unreal. So I would take that advice, maybe just for a film workflow. Hey, the audio is really good. Well, that's nice to hear. I've spent a lot of time trying to get my audio to sound fairly good. It still sounds like I'm in a room, but I think that actually gives it a bit more of a natural feel. I still have my old headset that I, as emergency as well, but the problem with the headset is it gives, as soon as you start seeing people in a webcam, it gives you this uncanny, like the audio is too close. And this has a nice natural room feel, which I think works nicely. So I do all my Q&As with the mic now, which is like it's literally just right here. It's hanging right above me. And what was I gonna say? Oh, but if I do like video recordings, then I'll use my headset because it just sounds better, I think, personally, where you're actually with the video. But if it's a conference call, then I think these spacious ones work nicer. That's just my thought after all this experience of trying to figure out what works good. So 1/10 of the real world scale. So the reason why that's so interesting is because in one of our courses, we have Steve Hubbard talks about building environment level, and he builds it to 1/10 of the world scale, which I went out of my way to actually ask him. I'm like, 1/10 of the world scale? Is that something you normally do? And you know, apparently he does. And what it says here down at the bottom is this is because Maya has a minimum and maximum scales it can work efficiently with, which suddenly makes sense. So if you're 1/10 of the scale and your character is moving around far away from the origin, it's possible that that there's math efficiencies where the numbers aren't so big and it can calculate these values faster and you get better frame rate. I don't know, I've never experienced that or heard about that before, but it is kind of a cool concept to let me go back to my other backdrop here, sorry. To experiment with, I suppose. But the problem is if you export your character at 1/10 of the scale and you're bringing it Unreal, it's going to be 1/10 of the scale. So at one point, you're going to have to scale it back up again. And you really shouldn't be importing things in Unreal not at the scale it needs to be, because it's just too confusing. And it potentially creates problems when you try to do physics, because now your object is this tiny little thing, and the physics is going to try to calculate it like it's a tiny little thing. And so you're going to get this uncanny effect. So I wouldn't recommend necessarily doing that in this case, but it is neat to see that it has that information. But anyway, so we've got this skeleton here that's 1/10 of the scale of a cat, and we're going to scale it up to fit our fox, at least to the point where I think we need to. And I'm not sure if I'm supposed to use a special. I think I can just scale it. It seems to be scaling pretty good. And you could add extra limbs if you wanted to, but what we're going to have to do next is really start changing the positions of the joints, which from my past experience of using this does require a lot of, like, you got to go into fit mode, which lets you manipulate the joint positions properly. Let me just work my way down through here properly here. Fit skeleton from your current rig and says it's fuller. It's what? Maybe this is the rig thing. Let me just look at that again. Fit skeletons limb. These are in subfolders. Extracts this fit skeleton from your current rig and saves it into the fit skins folders. Alright. We'll try it. This must be maybe for being able to come back and do iterations without messing with it too much, I guess. Go back a folder, Fox. Try that. IK labeling. It's already done a bunch of labeling. I don't need to customize that. I assume these are for twist joints, which is, I'm not at all interested in twist joints right now. They would be joints that go between these pieces to help trend the orientation, but I really want to keep this simple. I want to see if I can even get to the end of it. Add joints, resample, placement. Ah, yeah, tail joints. Oh, it does have tail joints. Good. All right, so fit mode. Here's the thing. When fit mode is on, following it will automatically run automatically. Moving a joint will make the parent joint auto orient to keep the y-axis down the bone. See, that's pretty interesting. Moving a joint insert mode. Rushback, Simon, I didn't know that you were an animation mentor. Really? Really? Well, actually, to be fair, I'm not really an animation mentor, but I have taken on some students for the animation stream, the intro animation stream. Marcus, does that do everything? I have not actually ever mentored anyone in the advanced animation stream, so that I'm quite unfamiliar with. And I like the fact that we have all these mentors that are teaching that stream who are specifically dedicated to animation, and they're the ones that mentor those ones, because I mean, we've got mentors that are coming from Pixar and everything, and they've all got really interesting experience and lots of great stories, and so they're the ones that really should be teaching the advanced ones. But for the intro, the stream for intro to animation is the same as what happens in the foundations, so it's just the same content I teach. I can't remember why I managed to get Kim as my mentor, or as my student. There was a reason for it, but I don't know why. But anyway, it's kind of fun to get a bit of a perspective. Animation is my background, and that's the area that I'm comfortable with. So I really like doing the mentoring for animation. But I've been doing the modeling and the animation for about 5 years, and Unreal has always been something that I've known how to do, so I do the Unreal as well. Fatima, CG Spectrum is the future Hogwarts. Hey, that sounds good. Oh, because he's a wizard. Yeah. Yeah, man. I'll go with that. Future Hogwarts sounds great. I do like the atmosphere of our school, and you know, all of our mentors have been really, like, they get great ratings. I get to see all the reviews of all the mentors because I'm part of doing the scripts, and that's all part of the thing. I think all the head departments get to see the reviews, but we get good reviews from everybody, which is great. Obviously, there's always going to be the odd exception here and there, but like mass majority of the time, everybody's pretty happy with the mentoring. There's areas in our courses that, you know, there's always little areas that we can try to tweak, and we're trying to figure out how we can improve it. And we do that, like we just, in November, for example, we just did a overhaul. But yeah, it's been really good. We get all these talented people from all over the world that are working, and they give 100% when they do the mentoring. Marcus, I've checked out some other schools and I learned far better in this format. Yeah, good. I think I would also, if I was at the stage where I was trying to get some education, this is my kind of school too. I didn't do very well in normal school, and I think this is the right formula for me, where the recordings are there, and then when you have questions that are relevant to your problems, you get to talk to real people, and it's all completely backwards in traditional schooling, which really, when you look at it, doesn't make any sense. Rushback, what was the worst review you guys have gotten? I'm not going to tell you what the reverse worst review was. That's all kinds of wrong. But it's tough because sometimes the students are the ones that didn't quite find a good connection, and so it's difficult to get all the check boxes down anyways, but but we definitely, you know, we do the best we can with what we can, and to us, getting people hired is our real goal, because that's really what's going to make the school look good. People can be happy with how the course went, but if they aren't hired, then they just kind of sit and stagnate. And, you know, really we want to make sure that they're happy because they found a successful path, and whatever we can do to try to solve that. Hence why we hired Maxine, who has just come on board about 6 months ago, or I don't even know, it was very recent. And she's been working really hard to give help to anybody in the school for career development and career pathing, and she does these classes that are free for everybody to join, that just talk about you know, good strategies for just getting hired, like portfolio development, and also the mentality of how you're approaching it, and all, whatever we can do to try to help. So those have been actively happening twice a week. And for you, Chris, you're welcome to do that too, because it's open to all alumni. You just have to talk to Maxine and she'll join you in the channel. I can show you the channel looks like. It's just a public channel. You can join yourself. Career dev class. She just had a class just a few, was it yesterday? No, this isn't it. It was this morning, for me anyways. And lots of great information. She tries to find, anytime that we find some stuff where there's portfolio reviews happening, for example, in Melbourne, and she just finished asking me whether I knew anybody for a portfolio review, and because she has like no animation portfolio reviews. And unfortunately for me, I'm like, you know, the students that come through foundations, we're just barely getting to a point where we're even comfortable with animating, let alone prepared with a portfolio. And we're not really expecting students to be ready with portfolios by the end of the second term. That's why we have the advanced course, where you can really, like, you know, well, we still have lots to learn, like facial animation, quadrupeds, all these other things. And then there's a portfolio term now at the end of the advanced course, just so that we can make sure that you have awesome portfolio so that we can review. So anyway, I redirected her to Mark because Mark's head of the animation, and he's the one that really should reach out to all their mentors and make sure that people taking the advanced course have an opportunity right now to submit to get some feedback on their portfolio from an actual studio, and see where they stand for competition, because it's good to know, because sometimes you do an animation, or sorry, you have a portfolio and you're like, I don't think it's good enough, and you're working really hard, but realistically that portfolio might be good enough already to be hired, and you could be working at a studio getting paid instead of sitting there still polishing your stuff. Most of the time it happens the other way around, but I've definitely seen situations where people are too insecure to even try submitting, and then they spend way too long polishing, and when they could have found a faster track to get paid to do what you want to do, instead of trying to do it on the side. So yeah, it's good to talk to her. She used to work at a VFX studio in Toronto before she started here. Like, she literally just left that company and came work for us. So she has a lot of good experience as a producer and being in the know of a high VFX studio. It was Mr. X, I think, was who was working. So before she started here, and so she has a lot of good know-how of the talent and the skills and the production and what the dialogue that happens in a hiring process, to make sure that you can gain a lot of knowledge from her, basically. Wow, that was a lot to talk about. Hopefully I didn't just bore everybody as I repeated something that I've said before, maybe. All right, fit mode. I think what I'm going to do is turn on fit mode. Basically, it's moving all the stuff around. Rushback says, Simon, let us go to sleep. No, 20 more minutes. You must stay awake. All joints will align with IKA and IK plane, changing thickness of joint. All right, I'm just gonna turn it on and we'll see what we can do here. I feel like basically once you turn on fit mode, didn't work. Yes, it did work. You're in kind of a special mode, so you got to be kind of careful with what you're doing, because they've changed the setup very carefully behind the scenes so that you can start grabbing things, moving them where you think is necessary. Of course, this is the eye. So we're only doing half the skeleton. The other half is being mirrored over eventually. Pretty sure this is the jaw, but I don't know if it's where the jaw hinge is. I think the jaw hinge would be somewhere back here. And this is the head pivot. This is the head end. I don't know why it has to be in that direction, but we'll just assume that makes sense. Oh, wait, here's another joint. I missed this one. So this is the jaw hinge, and this is the jaw end. Now, hopefully, when I move this joint, it doesn't... Ah, shoot, it does move the hierarchy. So, yeah. Didn't plan this very well. So, we gotta get to... Let's start at the spine. The root. So, really, it's just about understanding the skeletal structure of a animal like this, which, you know, I'm not gonna get it right the first time, but we'll see if we can do something. At least it's pretty close, right? Like, we're not too far off from what we want. The fact that that had all the toes and everything where I wanted it to be. I wonder if I just grab all these joints and move them together. And and it'll double transform. I don't know what's going on here. Maybe if we rotate this, or each one of these joints are individual, so kind of feel like we're not close enough to the spine for this properly. Leg, arm, front. I guess that might be up here. Yep, front. I don't know what I'm doing. Sure, this is accurate. Yes. Foot. It looks right. Oops, I don't know what I just moved. Oh no, undo doesn't work. That's not a good sign. X finger. Okay. Flippy Pixel just read Unreal 4 is forward compatible with 5. That's right, yeah. That's what I heard too. I think even Tim Sweeney himself has said that. It's just supposed to be like an upgrade, but probably a pretty massive and substantially destructive upgrade. But you could take your existing project and just say update to Unreal 5 and it should work, which is unusual. I mean, I've never seen a release of any version. I don't know, maybe I have to think about that. That might not be the most honest answer, but it definitely seems pretty unusual for Unreal. I know going between Unreal 3 and Unreal 4, it was a massive switch. Oh, my mouse has stopped moving. Oh, I think my batteries just died on my mouse. I thought my computer crashed. That's hilarious. I'm gonna use my backup mouse here. Only problem is my backup mouse doesn't click very well. Luce, please make a visual effect live stream, please. You're right. We should have VFX live streams. That is the one missing thing we don't have yet. And Daniel is on the he's the tentative mentor to do the live stream that we've been trying to encourage him to do, but he's busy, so he has a life and stuff. So I don't know, we'll see when we can finally get that going. But you're right, we really need a good quality VFX live stream. It's so like, it's got so much stuff to talk about. Brian does the modeling live stream at like 10 a.m. Eastern on Wednesday. And he has done a lot of Houdini stuff as well, but he's not doing, he's really coming from a modeling perspective rather than a proper VFX. Rushback, either Houdini effects or compositing would be interesting. Yeah, and compositing is another one that we should really be doing a live stream for as well. And we have talked about it. Problem is we don't have any full-time live stream, we don't have any full-time compositing mentors because we don't have enough students to make a full-time or part-time mentor, which is a disappointment because we have very talented mentors and we have very great course and there's lots of job opportunities to be a compositor, and yet we don't have enough students to really make it into a big thing. So as soon as we can get a part-time, full-time position for compositing, we can start doing live streams. But at the moment, everybody is just casual mentors, so they just get paid by the hour, which they get paid more as paid by the hour. So it's actually quite expensive for the school, but it's very flexible for us. Let's see here. Marcus, show us some visual effects in Unreal. See, I've tried to done that in the past. I was like, today we're gonna do Niagara VFX in Unreal, and it was a total disaster because I don't know what I'm doing and I have to learn a lot before I can actually do anything productive. So I've kind of decided to probably try and keep it within my realm of knowledge until I'm more comfortable with the topic. I might do this anyways, just for fun. Like every time something new comes out in Unreal, we'll just play with it and see what it's like. Like for example, the water in Unreal 4.26 is something that I want to play with when it comes out and see what we can do with it. It should be kind of fun. However, just yesterday, I went and did some research to show some students what the water was like, and all the YouTube videos for Unreal 4.26 water has been removed. Like if you type in, I don't know, maybe this is not true anymore, but if you type in Unreal 4.26 water, let's see what happens here. You click on it. Oh, it works today. All right, so I'll take that back. When I was in my Q&A yesterday, we were all like, everything I clicked on was like error, error. And then the people were trying it, and they're also in Australia, and they also couldn't get it to work. So I don't know what was going on there. It was like the whole, I was literally going, maybe we're not going to get water in 4.26. Maybe they, they retracted it. They've gone around and removed all their YouTube videos. I don't know what was going on there now. I'm quite curious. Anyways, the water looks pretty cool for 4.26, so I'd be really curious to try it out. Lucy says, I really like the CG Spectrum visual effects course. Excellent. Well, that's great to hear. We have we have great mentors and a great course that really takes it seriously. So we really want to make sure that we are bringing our students up in a professional way. And to be honest, we're actually making sure that it also is fun, which has been one of our struggles for the introduction. So not only is it educational, but it's also fun, because apparently those two things need to come together. Otherwise, people find that very boring and frustrating to learn a very difficult software like Houdini. Marcus says, push Unreal more. Push Unreal more. Yeah, I think if I can get some more free time and we start doing more like, especially when we start doing game jams, I'll be able to really start exploring some cool new tech in Unreal and maybe start talking about some cool stuff that explores outside of my comfort zone. But I don't know, it's every week I just try to explore. Oh, see, like today I was supposed to be talking about USD file formatting, and oh, but then I found out I have to install a plugin in Maya, and I got kind of overwhelmed on that one because I don't know how that's gonna go, and it may be really boring to watch. Flippy Pixel YouTube was down a bit yesterday. Oh, okay, so it was just YouTube in general. It's funny because we did some searches and I didn't see problems in other videos, but then every time I did a water search, it was like fail, and I just thought it was really strange. So that's good to know that it was just a general YouTube fail. I'd never seen it fail before, so that's quite fascinating actually. Marcus, have you used the voxel plugin? Is this on Unreal? There's a voxel plugin? I have not used a voxel plugin. I mean, I understand what voxels are, and I understand that no, that's Vivox. Voice chat interface. I don't even know what that means. You'll have to explain what the voxel plugin is for. Rushback. I'll probably take the Houdini after modeling. Wow, okay. Oh, because you're doing the intro to modeling. Yeah. That's exactly... We're trying to make sure that we have that flexibility, that you can take different streams once you take the intro that correspond with it. And modeling is one of those ones that allow for flexibility into... definitely into VFX. On the Unreal Market. Okay, got the answer on that one. Let's go check it out. Marketplace. Voxel. Voxel Plugin Pro. Whoa. Wow, what a price tag. Wait a minute, so are you asking me if I've used it? No, I don't have $450 I'm gonna throw at a thing that I don't even know what it does yet. It does look pretty cool. But I know voxels are like a whole different. They've been talking about making games with voxels forever, but then it's always been like too weird to work with. These don't even look like voxels. I don't know what's happening here, but it looks awesome. State-of-the-art voxel plugin with powerful editor and runtime tools. Power voxels to create fully volumetric infinite landscapes. Yeah, that's pretty neat. So like you could just dig into the ground and you would still see like more geometry. As opposed to just a shell of a mesh. It's pretty cool. Have you checked out the gameplay ability system in Unreal? Is the gameplay ability system also a plugin? Now that I'm talking to Flippy Pixel, I guess. There is a free one though, for the voxel plugin. Well, that is interesting then. Voxel cars. Oh, here it is. Voxel plugin free. Yeah, sorry. Didn't see that one there. June 11th, 2020. This is very recent. Install the engine. Okay. That sounds pretty hardcore. Have you tried it, Marcus? Does it work for you? Just feel like if I do that, I'm gonna have to close my editor. And Rushback said, no, is it Rushback? Oh yeah, sorry. Rushback says, I mean, because fur and hair effects is so chill in Houdini. Yeah, I think John also noticed that the hair is working much better in Houdini than using XGen in Maya. Although every time I've ever heard of anyone using XGen in Maya has always been like, whoa, this is quite a struggle and very finicky. So if anything is a little bit better than that, then you're probably making progress. I heard the Blender has a good fur thing too, but I wouldn't be surprised if Houdini has a good one. Marcus says, just watching videos. I'll probably try to do a tutorial soon on the voxel plugin. Yeah, it would be kind of cool. Maybe that's something we can talk about. And see where it goes. It's worth me playing with first, I guess, is really where it goes. And so going back to gameplay ability system in Unreal. Is that a thing in Unreal? Or is that a thing I have to download to get it to work? Oh, how about I spell it right? That'll help. Gameplay ability. All right, let's try this. Gameplay abilities. There it is. Adds gameplay effect and gameplay ability classes to handle complicated gameplay interactions. Beta. Version 0.1. All right, I don't even know anything about that, so that is kind of cool. Let's see what we got. Comments here. Rushback says, Brian told me to do fur effects in Houdini. Brian. I'm starting to wonder who Rushback is now. Is Rushback John? Am I connecting the two and I'm getting them all confused? Flippy Pixel. It's kind of hidden plugin, but part of the engine used in Paragon and Fortnite. Oh, cool. I'm gonna take a look. See, this is all important stuff to know if we're gonna start doing game jams. Came out in 4.20. And yet it's still beta. Interesting. I didn't quite find as much information on that as I wanted to, but it's kind of a hidden plugin. Oh yeah, sorry, I read that already. Sent a link, don't know if it worked. Oh yeah, you can't send links unless you type it without the HTTP and stuff, so it doesn't look like a link. Then I can probably find it. Marcus says, I saw that in a video the other day, too. The ability one. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I'm not really, I think I may have glossed over it if I ever saw it, because I just didn't realize it was a thing that gave you extra enhanced features. Oh, I see. The documentation doesn't give you much to work with. I'm actually really curious to see how user-friendly it is from an artist perspective, or if it's like it looks like it's a very C++ project-oriented thing. So that's gonna not really help me much, if that's the case. Rushback, Simon, we went over this a couple weeks ago. Sorry, Rushback. I wish I could remember things better. All I remember is your Rushback, and you show up. I forget what the backstory was. I'm sorry. But a few Unreal videos, Ant tutorials online. Seems very flexible to make lots of mechanics. Bro. Sorry. I really do apologize. I need to, whenever I come onto the stream and I get these names that are like totally arbitrary, I really have a lot of trouble connecting where they're coming from. So for me, it's actually really tough. But I feel really bad. Look, I really want to know. I wish I could find out where this information was. Go back to it. It's research. It would be horrible. I've got 2 minutes left, 3 minutes left, so let's see if I can do anything fun here. I know I've really pushed it too far. I spent way too much time being casual to actually get this completed. But you know, to be fair, I guess in a way we're kind of getting somewhere good here. We gotta still, well, first of all, we gotta come out of fit mode. I gotta build the other half of it. Maybe when we just do a build advanced skeleton, it'll just work. Let's just try it. Might do the mirroring for me. How good it does. There we go. Oh, I didn't look at the legs aren't in the right place, so this kind of sucks. So, yeah, I'm gonna get a bad rating. That's right. I'll be like, how did you get such a bad rating? Oh, I screwed up on stream. Seems live streams are just a great place to mess with mentors. Yeah, that's for real. That's alright. I'm not really that bothered. I do really like knowing everybody, what everybody's up to. I really do care. I have a terrible memory, and that's all it is. But I really do enjoy the streams, and you guys are here and chatting with me. Let's see if this works. Oh, I gotta do the skinning still. We didn't do the skinning. Well, we got the skeleton at least. So, anyway, I guess you can kind of see where we're going with this. We have the rig. It's got set up already. Didn't have to do very much. This skeleton, I don't know. There's probably a proper way to do it in here that's going to tell us to skin and go through the proper process, like to, transfer skinning. But basically, you just grab the skin and grab the mesh, which is frozen. Oh, my mouse doesn't work. And we go to rigging, and we go to skin, bind skin. We're gonna use sorry, where's the Quaternion? Oh, there it is. Geodesic voxel. Max influence 5. Sure, that's good enough. And we'll skin it. Yeah, Mark, I'm sure, really is good with that too. He likes getting messed around with, I'm sure. I'm sure he has much wittier comebacks than I do. Let's see here. There we go. Now we got ourselves a skin and a skeleton. And I didn't really do a great job of, like, you know, caring about whether I got the orientation right, but at least now you have a skeleton that you can work with and animate, and using the rig itself, try to play with it a little bit, and then you can always go back and do the fit mode and resample and update and work with it, iterate. So there you go. I roast myself. See, that sounds counterproductive, right? That doesn't sound so good. Alright guys, I'm gonna have to wrap it up there. Thanks for joining me and roasting me. I appreciate all the attention. And we're gonna, next week I guess we'll try to figure out something else to do that will be associated. Maybe we'll start animating the fox if I can get this to look good, but we'll see. We'll see what feels right. And you know, I'd like to get back to switching this backdrop to something that is more seasonably appropriate for the northern hemisphere of the planet, and particularly where I live, I guess. So I'll leave it there, and thanks for everybody for showing up. And I'll see you guys again next week. Take care, everybody.